Oh, what a good sign to see when you start a video game. Nintendo Rareware. You already know what I'm playing. I don't need to say anything. Well, obviously you know because you saw the title, but I've been waiting. I've been waiting a long time to do this game. A little too long, if you ask me. So yes, today for this edition of GWC Plays, I'm going to be playing and gushing about Banjo Kazooie. Why this is such a good game, a great series, one of Rare's like probably best like franchises and everything. It's such a good game. Like this game and Banjo Tooie are they're almost. Oh man. So I'm not gonna go for. I was about to say something crazy. I was about to say, you know, they're almost perfect, but I know there are some things in here I could possibly say there's some flaws, but the positives in this game really do outweigh the negatives. Like, oh, I could go on. God, this intro, just like you start this game off, you already know you're ready to go. 1998 Nintendo Rare game by Rare. Oh, I miss seeing Rare. Where are they at now? Oh yeah. There's so much to talk about now. I'm gonna try and play as much of this game as I can within the time span. I'll probably get to maybe 2-3 levels at most. So unfortunately, I won't be able to get to like my favorite levels. Like, so I won't be able to get the Freezy Peak, but I'm gonna try and get as far as I can in this and talk about as much stuff as I can. But it's tough. There's so many things I could just stop and mention. Just like this game has so much just cool depth to it and so much style. I could go on for a while. So I'm gonna start this one. I already kind of started. Just for the purpose of time, I am skipping the intro. And it's only just because I do want to get on with the game. And I want to show off as much stuff and talk about as much stuff. So I'm going to go. And really I just came in here just because there's some interesting stuff in here. Particularly, where is it at? I think it's on... It is right here. I can't see it right now. Oh, here you go. Is that picture right there. So that was from... Actually, if I get on the bed, I can probably get a better view. But for a little Banjo Kazooie fact, that little screenshot there is from a level that did not make it into the game. It's from a level called Fungus Forest, which if you are familiar with Donkey Kong 64, then you should obviously know Fungus Forest in that game. So the level Fungus Forest was going to be pretty much that level in this game, and there's already actually music composed for it that eventually went over to Donkey Kong 64 because, of course, the soundtrack in that game was done by the brilliant Grant Kirkhope. It does same as well in this game. So I'm gonna try and say some like Banjo Kazooie facts as we go along because there's a lot of stuff to this game. And really, the one that I want to be going factoid mode, which is when I eventually play Banjo Tooie. Which that one, I was about to start that one first, but I said, you know what? I gotta start with the beginning. I gotta start with the first one. So, when I get to that game, we're going all in because I have a lot to say about that one. And I kind of have a controversial opinion. I wouldn't say controversial, but you very rarely hear people say it. But like, my personal favorite is Banjo Tooie. I prefer Banjo Tooie over Kazooie. And both games are great. Like... But there's something, but Tooie to me is just in terms of how much it is, how much is added to it and how much more they just like added to that game. It really is just, it's crazy. If you think you're ready, I think I am good enough to go. But just because of that, we're still going to do the tutorials. I got to get that extra honeycomb. Top of Spiral Mountain. The one thing I loved about Banjo too, I'm not gonna talk about that game too much because I gotta save some stuff for that GWC plays. But the one thing I loved is that you kept every single move you got from this game in that. So you start the game off and you have every move already, which you very rarely see in a lot of games. Like you look at a game like the Metroid series, where every game you start off and it's like Samus has just lost all of her stuff. It's like, where's all these things I got? It's like, what happened to the missiles and everything? And you got to get them all again. Like every game's like that. Now, and I loved that this game, the second game, you just have everything from the start, and you have like this new list of abilities. So going in, if you played the first one, you're already like right back into it. And I always thought that was really cool they did that. Yeah, that's right, Spyro Mountain, go Spyro Mountain, that's right, Spyro. I cannot believe, if you know what I just sang right now, you deserve a senior discount. I'm not going to add any context at all what that is. I'm just going to say it's a pretty pretty embarrassing thing on YouTube a long time ago. And that I still know it says a lot. I haven't thought about that in a long time. All I will say is enter Spiral Mountain. Enter Spiral Mountain song on YouTube and you'll come up. Man, I really have not thought about that in a long time. I don't know why it came up now. Alright, getting through this. We got one more, and then we'll be good to go. That's a pretty good tutorial level too. Like just getting acclimated to the controls and everything. I always thought about this game too. That I always felt it controlled really well. Like I never really had issues with the controls in this game. This is like one of those. It was like Mario 64. I love. There are some points where control-wise, sometimes it can throw you off a bit. This game, I never really had that issue. I always felt like I was always in control of Banjo. Like I always was in control of the jumps in terms of the movement and everything. Like it felt really tight. But it's a whole different type of platform. Like I could kind of compare Banjo Kazooie to Mario 64, but at the end of the day, I really can't because it really is almost like apples and oranges because Mario's more of like focused on really heavy platforming, while this is more in terms of like maybe medium to light platforming with more like puzzles and different type of ways of getting through your obstacles in this game to collect everything. Here we go. What's up? When I get to Mumbo's Mountain, that's when I'm gonna start going off on the music. I was holding back right now, but when I get to that level, I'm going all in because I have a lot to say on the soundtrack of this game. There goes Plungo. There's a lot of things to this game. I thought that was really cool back. Especially looking back from like compared to Tui, there's a lot of things this game did a little differently. I always thought was interesting. Here we go. There he is. The fun begins. My tricks and traps. We'll see who wins. Alright, let's get this first Jiggy. Hey, that was easy. Mr. Jiggy. Sorry, I hit my mic there. Force a habit. I love this thing too in Tui, where if you come back here, it's like all destroyed and. I'm sorry I'm talking about Tui so much, but God, that game does so much cool stuff. I'm gonna get on this one too. I forgot this was in this game, like, because we had a little his voice was a little different too. Press B to leave. Nope, I gotta get through here. Mumbo's Mountain. I always wonder why they got rid of like the rhyming scheme for Grunty and Banjo Kazooie. Maybe they just got tired or they wanted to change it up. I don't know. Alright, here we go. In terms of opening levels, this is such a strong level. Like, it. God, if I was doing like a game design talk, like I'd probably use this level as an example. Just it does everything so well in just terms of getting you acclimated more to the controls after like that basic tutorial they gave you. In terms of just straightforward levels, this one does everything like just perfect. In terms of just leading the player onto like the newer levels, using the music notes, to have the levels set up where like compared to Treasure Trove where it's more open, where it's like, okay, where do I go? This level is very easy to get through, as it's pretty much just like, that's it, that's the whole level. So I don't know, I'm always interested in like how the games kind of design that first level, because sometimes it can be really vital. It's like, especially getting into it, you really don't want a level that's a little too huge to get into, depending on the game. But I have to get this. This is the most important move in the game, possibly in the series too. The Talon Trot. As annoying as it probably is to everyone else, this move, I think I mentally blocked this sound out. Like, it does not bother me, because I would just use this constantly. And it really does not annoy me anymore. I don't think it ever did. Like, there's a lot of stuff in video games where like it seems like it'd get annoying, but like it never really did for me. I guess I kind of could just like accept it. Like, I'm gonna hear it and get a million times. You ready to leave? Who did that guy to just get one? You know, I'm just gonna leave. I don't need any more jiggies. One's enough. But this right here, the little where Kazooie walks and you hear with each step. Like, some people are like, oh, I gotta stop doing that. That's when I'd play, because I would just keep it on. Because I like the faster traversal. And it's like, God, why do you keep it on? Just stop doing that. But it's like, it's not that annoying. But I think now is the time to get into it. I've been holding back, but I think it's time to go in on this music. I don't even know where to begin. Like, this era of Rare, this is like, actually no, a lot of eras are Rare. Like, Rare, even on the NES and Super Nintendo, had fantastic soundtracks. But when they got to Banjo, this is when everything was just like, oh. The soundtrack for this game is pretty much incredible. Everything is just, every theme fits, and there's so many just cool little things that Grant Kirkhope does. And it's stuff that like I wish other games did, and like thankfully I've been seeing some games recently kind of do this now, and there were games after this that started. But kind of the act of where, rather than having a constant level theme that just kind of stays throughout, you're having this one that's changing as you're going throughout the area. So you have here, now we're in like this tribal areas. Now the theme, it has now had this little different shift to fit the area. Or when you're going underwater, you notice you'll have Mumbo's Mountain theme, but now it's got an aquatic feel to it where it's underwater. And there's all these little effects in that too that's just like, it adds so much to the game. And it's just like, man, why aren't people doing this? It's really good. to be my mighty man. I don't know why I called him that. I don't know why in this game I call the 1-ups mighty men. It's like thinking about it now, it's like why do I call them that? Like why don't I just call them like 1-ups or mini banjos? Why mighty men? Like like an 80s toy. What do you want for Christmas? Can I get the mighty men? That's the toy I want. The mighty men. I gotta get those eggs now. You have that tribal shift, and you go over to the ants. They have like a little marching band. Feel 2 with the snare, and you move away. And now it goes back to this. And then you go over to this section now. See, and it's so, the thing I love about it, it's so smooth. Like, it's like I always wondered like how they got it so smooth. The transitions are just like that, where it's just boom. It changes right there on the fly, like consistent. And it was these little small details here. That's like kind of what made the game so cool. It was like that change in music to make it feel more dynamic. And all right, let's get this. Let's look over here. Got that sound effect. That orange. Chumpy help fat barren bird. And see, it's like that. We're getting through this level. Halfway done. Ancient ways of the egg. Hold Z, top C, get the egg. I remember this is one of those games back then. Because it took me a while to actually buy this game. And the thing the thing that always trips me up is that I actually beat Banjo Tooie before I beat Kazooie. Because what happened is I used to rent this game all the time when I'd go to Blockbuster. And I never got a chance to beat it because the saves were obviously onto the cartridge themselves. So if you wanted to save the game, you'd save it to the cartridge. But if you rented a game out of Blockbuster, you may not have that save when you get it back because there's always multiple copies of the game. And you always have the thing that with multiple people renting it, your save may be deleted to make space for their save. So every time I'd rent this game, I'd have to start over fresh. But each time I started, I got faster and faster to the game. And despite all that and getting faster, I still could never beat the game. And it wasn't until I later on bought the game myself. And the same thing happened for Tooie too. I rented Banjo Tooie. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. The same thing happened with Banjo Tooie. Is I rented the game. I tried to beat it. I eventually bought that one, and I beat Tooie. But then I was like, you know what? I gotta go back and beat Banjo Kazooie. So then I went and bought that, and I bought the strategy guide as well at GameStop. I think it was 2000, 2001. I remember I was in elementary school. I still remember I think first day of school, going back to I think the second or third grade. I think second grade maybe. I remember I played Banjo Kazooie vividly. I remember I was playing Treasure Trove. So I remember it was quite a few rentals for this game, just trying to beat it. But then I bought it and I got through it. So my orders, maybe the reason why I prefer Banjo Tooie is because it's the one I beat first. Maybe if I'd played this one and beat it first and I did that, then it probably would have been a bit different. And even though I prefer Tooie, but both games are great. It's very little things I can really say that are awful about this. And really some of the things I have issues with are fixed in later versions of this game. So if I'm going into the Xbox Live Arcade or the recent Rare Replay one, a lot of this stuff, so for instance, the thing in this game that kind of sucked back then is that if you die in a level and you haven't collected all 100 of the note pieces, then you lose them. You have to start all over to get all 100 again, which I always thought sucked back then, because especially when you get to Rusty Bucket Bay, like there's one room in that game that is relentless, and getting 100% in that stage was really bad. And thankfully, in Xbox Live Arcade and Rare Replay, since it's both the same versions, they made it so you keep all of the note pieces as you are. So if you die, it doesn't really matter, which is like good. That's a good change because doing it the way it was before really sucked. You know, I'm still hoping for Banjo Kazooie to come to the Switch. Hey, Rare Replay, bring it to the Switch. I would love to see Banjo Kazooie on a Nintendo platform again. They've been gone far too long. I think I have to go into this room to go get that little extra rumble coin. I forgot. And I say this every year since Smash Brothers came out. I think since Melee, I've been saying I would love Banjo Kazooie in Smash. That is like my last dream character. Every character I've wanted in Smash has made it in. I remember Little Mac was like, that was my big one. I wanted Little Mac in. I wanted Mega Man in. He got in. I wanted Simon Belmont. He got in. And all these characters I never thought I would see got in somehow. And so Banjo Kazooie is like it for me. That's the one I would want. Like, oh my, if Banjo Kazooie is in, I don't know what I would do. I remember when that Mega Man reveal happened, I really got like, I got a little too emotional. I got kind of a little emotional when that happened, because like it's like Mega Man has been kind of just gone from Capcom's eyes for a long time. Cause that was back when kind of Mega Man was in the back burner for Capcom. Like there hadn't been a Mega Man game in a while, and everything Mega Man was either getting canceled or just kind of left in the dirt. And you see Nintendo bringing classic Mega Man back, got the music, and just showing all this love for Mega Man that Capcom wasn't showing. It was like this really just kind of beautiful moment. And I kind of feel I want the same thing to happen to Banjo, because really think about it, what is the last thing you've seen with Banjo in it? Outside of like the Rare Replay and the ports, the last Banjo related thing was Banjo Nuts and Bolts, all the way back in like 2008 or so. Which is like, Banjo needs to return, because Rare's not doing anything with any of these properties. Like that's the thing that makes me sad. It's like, this new Rare, what are they doing? Like where's like another Viva Pinata? Where's Grab by the Ghoulies? Where's another Conquer? Like they have all these properties just sitting collecting dust. Like Microsoft bought Rare and like killed them. Like that's almost what I think what happened. Was Rare was like Nintendo's like big weapon. Like anything they brought out like dominated on N64. And that Microsoft acquisition really killed them, because after that you kind of stopped seeing that same output from Rare, even though there were some good games in between there. Like I thought Grab by the Ghoulies was a good game that not a lot of people talk about, but that was a good game. Cameo, for what it was pretty decent. And Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, I have a lot to say about that game. Whenever I get the Rare Replay and I get an Xbox One to play it, I'm going to talk about that one more in depth. But to keep it short, I'll say it is a fine game. It is not a good Banjo game though. And despite having some of the things I love in there, it has that Grant Kirkhope music, it has that same feel. There's a lot of things missing from that game, but to me, what makes a Banjo game a Banjo game. And it doesn't help that reveal for the game was so just off the mark, where it's like the original teaser shows, oh, you're going to be collecting honeycombs, jiggies, notes, and then you get the game, and it's like, what's this cars? What's this? Like, I wanted to jump. So I'd really love Banjo to come back. That would be it for me. whether Rare does another one, they resurrect the character, or Nintendo brings it back in Smash in some form. But that would be it for me. Like the Mega Man one got me emotional. The Banjo one, if that happened, I would probably start shedding tears, because like a character in series that I've loved for years that has kind of been abandoned in the dark is just back now. So I don't know. We'll see. If it does happen, I'm gonna love coming back to this video. If it doesn't, then it's just gonna stay as a statement then. Alright, but that's Mumble's Mount. That good first level. Good opening tutorial one. I remember that that quiz at the end of this game was good. I guess I'll start talking about some stuff later on in the game. But man, the final part of this game, we had to do that quiz. I really didn't like that part growing up. Now I like it. 'Cause I think it's a cool little thing. And it's like an inventive way thing like to have before the final boss, kind of like the test to see if you actually played the game and to see how much you retained. Like I think that's cool, but there's some hard ones in there where it's like, man, what is that? Where it's like, how'd you get that? Especially like the ones where you have to like talk to Bruntilde and you have to like get all the questions. Like it's it's pretty rough. But the Banjo Kazooie one, that one I think's, I don't know, this one's hard, but that one can get a little more challenging just because some of those questions there are just as twisted, where it's like, dang, how'd I know that? And they throw some hard ones too. But I think getting back, kind of one of the things that I liked about this game was that it was just really inventive and just creative in what they did with it. Like and how the characters, rather than giving them just regular voices, they gave them these kind of weird like like that kind of voice. Like it was all this like really cool stuff there, and like how they gave everything those little like googly eyes. Like that's like the Rare trademark now. And I guess now it's just the trademark of the collectathons, because you see that with ukulele, which I guess I should get into that now, because really that whole Kickstarter was based like, hey, we made Banjo Kazooie, we're Rare, we're gonna make a game similar to it, and we're gonna pretty much do a revival of collectathon games. And you know, I backed the game. I have a copy of it. I'm in the credits. Far in the credits, you can find my name. You know, I actually was a fan of ukulele. I thought it was a pretty good game. Of course, it wasn't Banjo Kazooie. Nothing will be. But I think for like trying to do that kind of game, like now, I think they did a good job. And I think if they had a sequel for that one, I think ironing out some of the issues there would really help on that end. I feel like a sequel may be happening, because that game sold pretty well. And I actually would really be super down for a ukulele sequel, just fixing like some of the issues and like the stiffness in that game. Maybe like a bigger budget too. Like I think now that they did well, they might have more money. But even that game, it's like that game had more charm than like some of the last Rare games. And not even trying to put down Sea of Thieves, because I can't really speak on that game. I've not personally played it myself, so I don't want to like say something like, oh, that game sucks, because I haven't played it. But like Sea of Thieves looks fine, but like when it comes to Rare games, it doesn't give me that same feel. Like when I look at a game like this, or look at a game like Conker's Bad Fur Day, they have this visual style and flair to them. Even like Grab by the Ghoulies has it too, where it's just like, you can almost kind of tell it's a Rare game. It has this just aesthetic to it. And even with Viva Pinata and Cameo, and like Sea of Thieves didn't give me that same feel, but all the people who really made Rare what Rare is are kind of gone at this point. They've gone off to their own studios and they're kind of doing their own thing at this point. So of course, in that point, the identity of Rare is now gone, since everybody who made the games what they were are missing. But I don't know. There's a point in time where I was just like, what's Rare doing? Because they were like doing just Connect games, and it's like it looked nothing like what I was expecting. But enough about that. All right, boss time. I can't even say boss. And he's got Klungo's voice too. Why did they just reuse some of these voices too? And they definitely fixed Kazooie's voice in Tui. I remember this boss game. I remember this. I can't say the same boss. It's not. I remember this one gave me so much trouble. Like, how do I do this? How do I beat this boss? Like, his name boss. I was about to recreate that sound. I don't know if I can. Let's see if I can do it. It didn't sound anything like it. I'm gonna need these. Give me my honeycomb and give me my Jiggy. I never get tired of that little jingle. That is the magic of video game music, and it's really video game composers. That some of the stuff, like, it's a hard job, like making a piece of music that you're gonna hear hundreds of times over and possibly for hundreds of hours, and making it so that you do not get tired of it and it never gets kind of old. That is a hard job. Now I was thinking about like a lot of games. Like I think of Jack and Daxter, where same thing. Yeah, when you're collecting the power cells, you have the same thing where you're hearing kind of the same jingle 100 times in the game. 104 times, sorry. And it's like you don't really get tired of it, even though it's like a short little thing. But like, if it was the wrong piece of music or it's done the wrong way, and you do, then it's like the failure of the composer. That's all the stuff that's crazy. Like I'd actually, as cool as it would be to compose music for a video game, it would be such a stressful job depending on the game. Like just coming up with all these different music themes and having it all work well, and in conjunction the fitting the theme of the game, theme of whatever you're trying to get with it. Like, it's a hard job, and like I have a lot of respect for the video game composers, because it's not an easy thing to do. There are some people who are like, oh, video game music. Well, you know, it's just like, at the end of the day, music is music. Whether it be in a video game, whether it be from a movie, whether it be from whatever, music is music. It's still a hard craft. It still requires a lot of work. And I always say that it's kind of disservice that video game music gets from some people, where they kind of look down on it, like, video game music. I listen to real music. It's like, huh? Like, it's such a weird topic, and it's always when I hear people say that, like, it's like, because maybe what you consider real music might not be what some people consider. So it's like an endless. It's like endless cycle, and it's just such a dumb argument to get on. Just it always makes me laugh when I hear that comment. Dang it! I forgot to get that pad. Find me and I'll tell you how to use it. All right. Okay, where's the sandbox at? Alright, well, let's just jump down. Whoa! Oh, we didn't get it. I saved myself. Man, I gotta get over. I gotta get into the water too. I gotta talk about how stressful it is. This level puts me on edge a lot. Alright, now I can go back and get that. And that was one thing else I was shocked when Ukulele came out. Is when the game came out, there was no option to like fast forward text. Like they didn't have it in the game. And they eventually added it as a patch later on, but I was like, how did they not add this at launch? Like, what happened? Such a vital part, especially for going for like that kind of classic Banjo. Like, how do you not have that in there? But the way I feel is that like their main goal was just getting the game out, and then it came down to later adding the stuff in there that they needed to, which is always I understand, but. Actually, no. I actually would do. Actually, now looking back, I do because like they even though they had the Kickstarter and they got a lot of money, I think they like raised their budget in like 40 minutes. I remember it was like the same day Jurassic World came out. Because I remember I went to go see the movie and like before I saw it, I was like, I can't go see this until I donate to this. And then by the time I was in the car about to go see it, it was like, oh, your project has been funded already and backed. So definitely, like, since it's like a smaller team, I think at that point it was like 12 people maybe. I think to them getting that game out just as then was good and going for the patches later. Now for AAA developers, however, the same thing can't be said. Where it's like the game comes out and it's like, where's all this stuff? Like I will give indie developers, like, you know what, you guys are, it's a small team. I understand not everything's gonna get added in. It's gonna add it in later. That's fine. AAA stuff where it's like, okay, what happened? Where's all this stuff at? Like, well, we're adding all this stuff as it comes on. It's like, can't you guys pull Nintendo? Like, Nintendo is the best when it comes to that stuff because when their games come out, they are complete. And the thing I love with Nintendo games is like, I've never played a broken Nintendo game. Like I try to think like right at the top of your head, what is a Nintendo game? Like a first party Nintendo game that is just straight up broken. Where it's like this game is unplayable and all these different things. Like, and there probably is one, and I'm just not thinking of it, but it's very rare to find one. Nintendo are extreme when it comes to like quality control on their end. Most of their games are very, very well made, and they spend a lot of time and months kind of getting to that point of working on the game and getting it to like the best shape it can be before it comes out. When I go back and play those old games too, it's kind of that same thing. It's like, man, this game, there's not a lot of like glitches in it really, and if there are, they're very minuscule. And a lot of the stuff that's really game breaking, you really have to like work to get to that. And then I always bring it up. I brought it up a lot in my impractical playthrough of the Ocarina of Time Randomizer, which I recommend checking out. It was a good series. But I mentioned in that is that Nintendo, like, especially for a lot of Nintendo games, like you always hear them like, oh, this game's broken. Like Ocarina of Time. Speedrun wise, Ocarina of Time is a very broken game. But playing it in a standard playthrough, you'll never experience half the stuff that this game happens. Like, a regular player is never going to wrong warp to the end credits. Like, you have to really know how to do that stuff. And that's where it's like Nintendo games for me. It's just like, their stuff is just really, really well made. Alright, I'm not sure what else is left, actually. No, I think that sucks. There's a lot I really could have mentioned on this. It's one of those games I could kind of have like a 2-hour long GWC plays and just still not really scratch the surface on everything with it, but Oh yeah, I was gonna go in the water. I was gonna get to like my anxiety part. Let me get into there right now. Yeah, this part right here. Every time I played this game, it put me on edge. It's just like I kind of hated this level playing it the first time, because every time I got to that point, I was like, what? Like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm gonna go for that blue ginger. So maybe not. I'm going this the wrong way. I find it's the die right here. I don't have everything. Just yeah. Let me go to that sandcastle, because I think before I end this, I can kind of say one more thing. It's gotta. Where's that thing at? I think it's actually up here. Yeah, here it is. And there we go. Now, I'm not obviously, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that puzzle, because that takes a little too long right here. The reason I did open that up is because it leads to the interesting thing where you can get the cheat codes in there. Yeah, but the thing with this thing in here with the cheat codes, it opens up kind of some weird stuff where you start opening up the stop and swap and that whole mess, which I'm not even gonna get into. Like when I do the Banjo Kazooie one, I will go in on that, but I just wanted to at least mention that you can kind of get some of the stop and swap stuff there at least. Here's a lot more I could have done this level. There's really a lot more, but for the purpose of time, I think I'll call it there. I think it sucks because I didn't mention a lot. I didn't mention clankers. I didn't mention freezy. I didn't mention like the rest of the game. But as I've said before, there is still a possibility to come back to these games way later and to do a second edition to kind of play more end game, because a game like this needs more than an hour or so to go through. It needs more coverage. There's too much to kind of mention on it. Yeah, because of that, because that first time through, I can't skip this one. So I'll have to watch. I kind of miss that era when games where it's just like when you got a game over, you failed. They really made you feel bad. They were like shit, you shouldn't have done that. This is what you get. You lost. Some of these games nowadays, they give you a little too much slack for losing now. It's like they need to make some of these games a little hard again. And I was like, oh, what? Why did I stop the game? Like, I love that just saving the game makes it feel like you're a failure in this. Like, it's pretty cool, but I think it worked out that well in their end for that one. All right. Well, I think that's gonna about be it for here. I went over mostly everything I needed to say for the game, and really there's not too much to say. It's just Banjo Kazooie's overall excellent game. You know, playing it now, I haven't played it in a while. You know, it still holds up. Still plays really great. Still looks good. Soundtrack's still great. The sequel's even better. When I get to that one, I'll be talking about that one more in depth too. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me here. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Peace.